My goal is to get Catacombs level 24 and hopefully along the way pick up some insane loot. To do this, I would need to be able to grind the 5th floor of the Catacombs, but at the moment I can only grind the 2nd, so let's begin our journey there. Now, if I want to go all the way up to floor 5, I'm going to need to upgrade my gear and get a higher Catacombs level. Luckily, I can do both of those things in floor 2, as I contain Cata XP from beating the floor and Dragon Essence to star my armor. Another bonus to floor 2 is that you can obtain the Scarf's Grimoire Talisman, a combination of 16 Scarf studies, which are drops from floor 2. Since floor 2 is one of the rare floors where loot is useful to me, I made it my goal to grind floor 2 until I had 16 Scarf studies and 5-star armor. I already had a head start as I grinded floor 2 a bit on my journey to do more damage, and while doing that, I obtained 2 Scarf studies. Also, as a reward for beating Scarf 50 times, you get a Scarf's Thesis, which is 4 Scarf studies, so I only need 10 more to complete my goal. The first 2 Scarf studies took quite some time, as I still didn't do much damage, and I couldn't survive very well. To solve these problems, I leveled up my alchemy while using the sheep pet, which got that to a higher level, increasing my damage. And I crafted the zombie sword, which had the ability to heal me. With that done, I was finally prepared to take on floor 2. With these new advantages, I was able to consistently beat floor 2 with relative ease. I got 2 more Scarf studies only 1 day after starting this grind, and things were going great. I kept up grinding floor 2 with a mixture of alchemy on the side to level up my sheep pet, and after only a few days, I was able to craft my first Scarf's Thesis. Not too long after that, I obtained my second from completing 50 runs, and surprisingly, after only a bit over a week of grinding, and about 65 runs, we obtained a Scarf's Grimoire. This Grimoire completed one of my goals for floor 2. I also gathered enough Dragon Essence to 5-star everything except for my chestplate, which was only 4 stars. Even though this wasn't fully maxed, I thought it would be enough to take on floor 3, so that's what I did. Now I thought floor 3 wasn't going to be too big of a challenge as my gear and cata level increased tremendously, but boy was I wrong. My first floor 3 run was a complete and utter failure. I would basically get insta-killed if I would walk into a room on my own. I also couldn't do enough damage to clear efficiently. To combat this, I made the decision to make an exception to one of the core rules I established. I would now be able to use any piece of armor in combination with craftable armor, if that armor piece is the only available option. I think this is a good idea, as if you are playing as mage, berserker, or archer in dungeons, you will need a diamond or golden head, or a variant of the goggles, which are both not craftable. Instating this rule would allow me to purchase the shadow goggles from Ophelia and buff my damage tremendously. This solved one of my problems. The way I decided to solve the other was to do something I had been putting off for a while. Fairy souls. I had already gotten about half of the fairy souls, so I thought that now would be a good time to grab the rest of them, as I needed the extra health they gave me. Once that was done, I went to try floor 3 once again. This time, while I was doing enough damage, I still couldn't tank enough to survive well in combat. To combat this, I crafted myself a tier 12 perfect chestplate. This costed me about 10 million coins, but I still had that 45 million coins saved up from last video, so money wasn't an issue. After making that decision, I crafted the chestplate and bought everything I needed to max it. Or so I thought. You see, as a mage, you mainly use the necrotic reforge for mana, except for on the chestplate. There's a reforge for the chestplate called the Red Scarf, which gives you some bonus ability damage. As the name implies, it is attained from floor 2, the floor that I thought I was done with, so I turned right back around and had a new goal, to grind floor 2 until I got the Red Scarf. Now you might have seen Ragetrain's newest video on his Hyperion, where he too had to go back to floor 2 and grind for a Red Scarf. What he had to go through was exactly what I did. What I thought was only going to be a few runs turned into a multi-day task, but after less than a week, we finally got the Red Scarf, and it was finally time to take on floor 3. With this new gear, I was able to beat floor 3 with barely any problems. The only problem is that floor 3 is the nearest stepping stone to floor 4, and there is no good drops I needed from it. So, my only goal for grinding floor 3 is to reach cata 18, which I deemed was a good level to start floor 4 at. So, I started grinding. Nothing particularly interesting happened except that midway through grinding, I remembered another early game mage weapon that would be useful, the Voodoo Doll. This is kind of like the worst version of the Ice Blade. The Voodoo Doll is obtained at Revenant Slayer at 5, so I took a quick break from grinding dungeons, and after a few rare bosses, I unlocked the recipe and crafted the doll. It was quite useful for handling mini bosses as it did a good amount of damage. After only a few runs after obtaining the doll, the party I was in decided to try floor 4. Now, we were able to complete this floor with relative ease, so I thought I was ready for floor 4. But after doing a few more runs, I realized I was kinda getting carried. My damage output and clearing were not optimal enough for my standards. So I did a few more floor 3 runs, and then I obtained cata 18 and was ready for floor 4. Floor 4, unlike floor 3, does have some drops that would be nice to have. The main one I wanted was of course the spirit ring, which with 3 of them you can craft the spirit scepter, a mage weapon which is quite better than the frozen scythe. I would need to obtain this as using a frozen scythe in floor 4 is already quite hard, and in floor 5 it would be almost impossible. So I set out on a new goal to obtain the spirit scepter, and once I got that, I would finally be ready for floor 5. My first few runs went smoothly. I was able to clear well enough and contribute in the boss fight. If I had average luck, it would take me about 100 runs to get all 3 wings, or about 1 wing every 30 or so runs. But on my 12th run, this happened. Let's go! Nice! Now we were already 1/3 of the way there, with only 2 more to go. But then only 2 runs later, on run 14, this happened. This is one of the other main RNG drops that would be useful. While the boomerang meta still isn't what it used to be, it would be fun to just have one, so I bought this too. If things couldn't get any crazier, on the run directly after that, I got this. That sucks. This is the 3rd and final RNG drop that would be useful to me, so now the only 2 good things left are wings and bones. Luckily, just after I obtained the pet, this happened. The chance of this happening all in a row are 0.007%, which I'm pretty sure is less than a 1 in 100,000 chance of happening. I thought that I might have to grind extra floor 4 runs because I would get a spirit scepter too quickly and my cata level wouldn't be enough for floor 4, but boy was I so far from the truth. Over the next 35 runs, I managed to get a spirit stone, 2 spirit pets in a row, another legendary spirit pet 2 runs after that, and then another spirit bone right after that. And then finally, only 4 runs after that, I got an epic pet. Some of the rarest drops from floor 4, but no wing. The luck is incredibly lucky, but in the wrong way. After that stroke of luck died down and I didn't get any rare drops for a good while. But then after about a week of nothing, this happened. I thought that then we'd have enough bones to craft the boomerang, but once I bought everything, I realized that the boomerang and spirit scepters are different. The boomerang requires 5 spirit bones instead of 3, so I still need to get 2 more. But that wouldn't happen before 1 spirit wing, right? Once I got the 3rd bone, I was feeling quite demoralized, so I pulled out my final trick, Kismet Feathers, the second chance item that lets you re-roll a dungeon chest. Starting now, I would use all my bits on Kismets until I got away. With this newfound extra luck, I charged on, but again, this extra luck was the wrong kind, as not too long after buying the Kismets, I got a stone. In the next run, I got another stone, which I re-rolled into a spirit bow. Over the course of the next days, I got a spirit sword, and then a sword. And a few days later, some spirit boots, completing every RNG drop from floor 4, but still no 3rd wing. Got 20, gone. 21, done. 22, completed. 23, over, all in a blur. I got another spirit pet, and finally I reached 100 runs. It had now been 85 runs and about 15 rerolls since my last spirit pet. I got my golden thorn head and kept on grinding. A few runs later, this happened. Sadly, it was again the wrong RNG. I pushed on, hoping that soon the grind would be over. By now, I was getting close to cata 24. I decided if I reached it and didn't get a wing in time, I would give myself 50 more runs, and if I couldn't get a wing in those times, the grind would be over. I was edging closer and closer to cata 24 with no drops, and then, on my cata 24 run, this happened. Oh my god. Yes, 5 bones and only 2 wings. At least now, I did have enough bones to finally craft a bone ring. Surprisingly, once enchanted, it did quite a bit of damage, out-damaging my emerald blade, which is nice as now it wasn't useless. Once I got this, I was on run 115, so if I didn't get a wing by run 165, my grinding would be over. With this endpoint in sight, I pushed on. 20 runs past, I got another sword, and another set of spirit boots, and then on run 130, with about 30 rerolls, this happened. Let's go. Oh my god, look. Finally, the Spirit Scepter will be ours. I crafted it and then almost maxed it as it didn't have enough Ultimate Wise book for Ultimate Wise 5. Now, we can do a comparison in floor 5 and end our quest. I hopped into a dungeon with my hope reinvigorated and tested them out. My Frozen Scythe did 75,000 damage, and my Spirit Scepter, 500,000. It would seem all of my pain was worth it, as now I have everything I need to get the next piece of the puzzle. Now thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in our next journey.